All right, everyone, remember, much like Bill O'Reilly's yearly War of Christmas, within politics, you have a series of holidays that are different from, like, the rational, sane side of things. So you have War on Christmas season. That's when, the GOPers, the neocons, the evangelicals get together and claim that, like, Christmas is being endangered because Jesus isn't the vice president. But Halloween is clearly a liberal holiday because it's offensive costume day. It's the day that they begin to ramble about how pretty much every interesting costume your child can wear is ethnically inappropriate or gender non-diverse or there's something wrong with it. Like, this costume, your gypsy costume is blackface. Your vampire costume mocks Romanians or Russians or whatever. The ghost costume looks too much like a Ku Klux Klan outfit. You can't have the Pirates of the Caribbean outfit. How dare you talk about Caribbean admixed Spaniard people or stupid things like this. And it's always a lot of logical stretching because if you look at what they have a problem with, typically speaking, it's a Hollywood-esque modification of maybe some ancient tradition, like saying for example, you can't wear the hulu costume, like the Hawaiian hula dancer thing. Well, that's been touristified. You could make up a new term for it. That's been Hollywoodified beyond all recognition. So that if you were to go back 200 years and look at some actual native tradition there, it's probably wildly different from, hula girls today as you would have it on your stupid tourist adventure maybe in Honolulu. If you look at what other offensive costume, like a Mexican costume or something that's stereotypical with sombrero and mustache and stuff, anyone who's actually offended by that tends not to actually be of Mexican extraction. You'll notice this. People who are offended by things typically aren't part of the group that would actually legitimately be offended if you were to make that logical leap. It tends to be lily-white gated community upper middle class liberals. Most of them have pink hair. This is their ethnicity. Their ethnicity is pink hair, so that you can't have that either. No clown costumes for you. Yeah, clown costumes, I wonder where they fit in. This is supposed, I guess, from Michigan State University or one of these interchangeable, like, mid-level colleges. No offense to anyone going there, but, when they're sitting there rambling about how your costumes are problematic and talking about feminine penis and all these other weird buzzwords they've invented, it's a funny time for everybody else in the country. But that costume, what are you talking about? You're actually talking about like a bandit costume. It has nothing to do with necessarily Mexican in any sense. Now, look to Hollywood and you'll find where that trope comes from. It's not just, El Mexicano over there happens to dress this way and it's very racial and very ethnic. No. Again, look at some spaghetti western, as they're called, cowboy movies. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if that term gets knocked off the radar at some point. Yeah, there's some ethnicity and some race and stuff involved with some costumes, but if you subtract that, then all you're left with is cryptids, basically. I guess you can be Godzilla. Well, no, because that might be offensive to people of Japanese extraction. Oh, how dare... Because Godzilla is based on the idea that the A-bombs caused mutations in the waters off Japan, and so this, Gila monster or iguana or whatever he is got mutated. But that's making a joke about genocide, so that's not okay. So no Godzilla costume. What about King Kong? A gorilla costume. No, that's racially offensive, because if you look at the initial King Kong, there was a lot of... Okay, that one may qualify. You're not allowed to have the giant gorilla costume. What about a dinosaur costume? Well, that harkens to the debate over evolution. See, you can make an excuse for why anything is offensive. Your costume is of a chair. Well, it's not inclusive enough because it's not a Turkish tuffet or, what are you supposed to dress for on Halloween? And by the way, Halloween in its modern incarnation is so warped, commercialized, and Americanized in many senses, it doesn't even make any difference. It's not a spiritual holiday. It's not a civic holiday. It's not like All Hallows Eve. It's not like, depending on who you ask, Samhain or Samhain. It's very, very funny to see people pronounce things in multiple ways. It's like watching New Age Christians say Jesus or something like that. It's not Jesus, it's Yeshua. It's not Jesus, it's actually Jose. It's, really, really funny to see that as well. I've noticed, by the way, in that capacity, there is a little bit of a behavioral overlap between the really self-righteous, I'm not talking about just, you're religious and therefore problematic, but the really, really religious people, like the Sabbath is every day sort of super fundamentalist crowd. There's some similarities in behavior between them and people on the social justice left, which makes sense because they're both severely authoritarian moralist movements, but, you know, they see themselves as different even though they're actually quite the same. You've even got the far left embracing religion now. It's just that they embrace religions that don't happen to be native according to their estimation. It's very funny how one religion from the Middle East can be and another religion from the Middle East isn't. And so they'll pick and choose which ones they like or don't like based on which one is held by the majority of the reigning culture. So yeah, a little bit of fake outrage this year. Get it while it lasts. Make sure to get a very ethnically inappropriate costume so that people can throw piss bottles at you and say punch a Nazi, and it'll be very funny because they think this is activism. They think that it's of import. This has been happening for years, by the way. It's not a new thing. This predates like the Madrumpf era. The Drumpf era is predated for decades by the outrage over Halloween crowd. Again, another element of right-wing moralism. Used to be Halloween was feared because, oh, well, it'll cause devil worship, or this costume's satanic, or, you know, no, you can't go as a sexy nurse because we're afraid you'll get sexual ideas. And they were very moralistic about it. They're doing the same thing. In fact, the same costumes are being targeted. Sexy nurse, sexy school teacher are still targeted by the left because now they objectify women. Before it was, well, you're going to get yourself heavy petting. You're going to have a teen pregnancy and Jesus will frown at you. Now it's you're going to, you're mocking women in some way. Like you're slut shaming, I guess. It's a different argument. It's got the same end result. I find that very, very funny how some people don't understand that. That's about all. Peace out.